Hello! It's back in the UK. Can you recognise the kitchen? Welcome, guys, to the latest episode of Cook with Amore, Cook with Love, the #1 self-care cooking show on the planet. I'm Paola, I'm your host, I'm a self-care cookery teacher and Italian food expert. And my mission in life is to get this nation cooking with love. And what does that mean? I'm here to motivate you, yes you, to love yourself with self-care cooking and feel good Italian food. Welcome, come in, stay. It's gonna be fun. Today's is episode number 8. It's actually going to be my last episode of this series, but I will be coming back at the end of the month with an absolute bang. You're going to absolutely love what I've got planned for you guys at the end of the month. But without further ado, I know you guys don't have a lot of time, so why don't we get on with today's show? Today's topic is quite fitting because today I'm going to be talking to you about 5 ways that the Italian food culture can inspire self-love, even some self-care. And I've just spent the last 3 months out there having a great time, but I've been working still. It hasn't been a holiday, I've been working, and it's been really good to soak up some of the elements of the culture and lifestyle that has injected some balanced self-care and self-love a little bit more easily into my life than I would normally hear. And it's just interesting what you can pick up with what happens around you. And even though I'm back here in the UK, I'm determined to bring, I think it's time to take a little page out of the Italians' books about how they choose to prioritise their days and take care of themselves and inject a little bit of balance. So come and stay, and I'm going to go through these next 5 points. What I would love to do is share with you a few tips on how we can inject a little bit of that Italian lifestyle into our everyday busy, hustly life. Because it doesn't matter, like I'm getting this vibe, right? Since I've got back, I've noticed big differences that here in the UK, there are so many wonderful things, but we do have a very hardcore work culture. Not to say Italians don't work hard, they work very hard, but where they prioritise their work and their well-being is slightly different. And I think it's really, really interesting. And I think there's some things they do every day that we can incorporate easily every day. And I do now. I live between Italy and I live across the UK. And these are things that you can definitely do in both countries. You don't have to be in Italy to be able to do this. So hopefully you guys will enjoy today. But I want to see who's coming through. Oh, thanks, Karen. Yeah, I'm feeling good coming back from a few months in Italy. It's been pretty fantastic. Right, so let's get going. Before I start, it'd be quite good to get some of your feedback on here. How many of you how many of you would say there are things that when you go away somewhere like Italy, the Mediterranean, and you really, really enjoy those elements, but sometimes you don't find it as easy to inject into your life in the UK? Or should I say, are there any elements of maybe other countries' cultures that you love that you wish you could incorporate into everyday life here? And what would that be? Lucy, thank you. Oh, so what a bit of sunshine does for your life. Oh, I saw a little bird flying out the window. Thought it was a rat. Where that came from? I just saw a bird. I thought it anyway. Moving on. Right, so back to my title, 5 ways Italian food culture can inspire self-care and self-love. So here we're going. #1, and I've talked about these, and actually a lot of the topics I'm going to be talking about I've talked about in the past, but it's quite good to kind of like bring it all together to today's session. Hey, I'm going to be in the UK in August. Will you be there? I will be there, Sam. Drop me a message. Let's talk. Be nice to catch up, mate. Right, so getting down to it. I know I haven't started yet, but let's start now. So #1, one of the things that Italians do really well, and it's something that I've talked about a lot in the previous sessions, is mindful eating. So in Italy, meals are a celebration. You may have seen many films, may have seen many magazines. We use it for advertising, editorial. We see Italians love sitting around a table and enjoying their food. And to me, when it comes to mindful eating, it's sitting around a table and appreciating that meal. What it's doing is emphasising a slowing down. It's emphasising I have the time, or I choose to slow down. I choose to sit down and embrace those flavours on my plate, and I'm appreciating that I'm feeding myself something frigging delicious, whether it's something that you've cooked yourself or someone else has cooked. Now, here in the UK, I don't feel like we see that same representation. I've even been catching up on EastEnders the last couple of days. Yes, I am an Enders fan. And it's quite funny that there are more scenes of people eating takeout than there are scenes sitting around a table and eating a meal together. And I found that really, really, really interesting. Now, I'm going to ask you, how many of you can say that you practice mindful eating? How many of you say that when you sit down for dinner, you're actually thinking wholeheartedly, hand on heart, you're going, I am choosing to just focus on my food and embrace the flavours and show gratitude for what I'm eating? How many of you guys do it? And if you don't, that's also cool. Tell me, let's talk about it. Let's see why it is that you don't feel, or maybe it's for me, it's not a case necessarily that people just don't want to do it. I just think it's a subconscious thing. We're not necessarily taught, or the benefits are necessarily talked about in abundance. As I've been talking about recently, I feel like the UK media can do a better job in trying to encourage the nation to cook and eat better, because it's really important for our mind, for our well-being. Karen, yes, my love. I love that. So here's a little tip. Okay, so here's some tips to embrace mindful eating if you don't do it already, okay? So one of the things you can do is just start practicing it. And when I say practicing it, is about what I'm saying. It's about when you cook yourself a meal, or when you eat something, try not to get distracted by anything else. When it comes to dinner, I always suggest to my people that work with me, my clients, I'm like, try and sit at a dining table if you've got a dining table. Try and avoid sitting in front of the TV. I know that in the UK we have this big culture where people love to sit in front of the TV and eat their dinner, or they're sitting there with their dinner scrolling on their phone. What you're doing is you're basically not giving your food enough importance. The TV, whatever's going on TV, is enough importance. What's on your phone has been given more importance. But actually, you need to give your food as love as attention for you to appreciate what that food is doing for you. Like, nourishing yourself with good food is a really important way of loving yourself. And when you're sitting in front of a TV or with your phone while you're eating, you're kind of not really appreciating that act at all. And I always say, if you can sit at a beautiful table if you want, do you know what I mean? And another thing I actually was remembering when I was working in my corporate days, something that I used to always do is I'd make food, like put it in a Tupperware box to take it to work or something. And then I eat out of the Tupperware box. And I'm like, again, that's not really showing your food any respect. I feel like if you could get yourself a plate and put your food on a plate, you're already in a different mindset. And I also think there's this whole thing where try not to eat while you're working. Like, how many of you are guilty of like opening up your laptop, it gets to lunchtime, you've really got something ready made, and you sit there, eat your lunch? Like, mindful eating is about taking away all distractions, work, phone, TV, everything, and make those 5, 10, 50 minutes, however long it takes, to eat your food, and make it about that, and enjoy every friggin' bite. Enjoy, like, engage in all the senses, the textures, the aromas, the flavours. And guys, that is so important. And I feel like that's such a great way to slow down. It's something that the Italians do. Like, it's no wonder you have lunch at Italian household, and minimum an hour. Minimum an hour you're sat at a table. Well, here I sometimes feel like we're flying off the table. We want to get off the table in 10 minutes because we've got 100 million other things to do. So anyway, that's mindful eating. So that's number one. Where did you get your hairband? A friend of mine, actually one of my clients, Emma at Bow Tie, she is an amazing, she has an amazing online shop where she sells hairbands and scrunchies. Bow Tie, Beautie. I hope that's helped. I feel your passion for food. Thank you. It's an SDJP Music Podcast. Thank you. I really appreciate that. So, going on to number two. Went off a tangent, slightly number one, but I do feel like in this country, we don't really make enough time to sit down and enjoy our food. But going on to number 2, right? Number 2 is another way that Italian food culture inspires self-love is the way they eat, is their Mediterranean diet. Listen, Italian food is about 3 key things. Do you know what those key things are? Can anyone name me what Italian Mediterranean food stands for? Give me just one. I'll give you 30 seconds. That's me pretending there's like music in the background, like on a game show. Right, no one's guessing, so it's probably time for me to tell you. So, fresh ingredients, minimum fuss, and maximum flavour, baby. I mean, you can't get more juicy than that. I mean, that's pure sexiness. We're talking fresh ingredients, good quality ingredients, minimum fuss, so easy and simple, quick recipes, but maximum flavour. I feel like we all deserve a little bit of that in our lives. And as you know, I'm an Italian food cookery teacher, so this is all the cooking that I love to teach. Now, that may sound so simple just saying it, okay? But the truth is, living in the UK, we have a bit of a problem at the moment. Because while the Mediterranean diet, like I said, it's quality ingredients, minimum fuss, maximum flavour, it is common knowledge that the Mediterranean diet is one of the healthiest in the world. It encourages you to have a healthier lifestyle. Now, in the UK, while I've been in Italy, I have had a few people send me a lot of information about the news that's come out about the amount of UK processed food. Actually, UK is the country with the biggest amount of processed foods consumed in the whole of Europe, and we're one of the smallest countries in the whole of Europe, and I find that friggin' mind-blowing. The problem is with processed food, ultra-processed food, the way it's advertised to us, ladies and gentlemen, is that it's convenient, it saves time, it saves money, it's cheaper. But what we haven't been told for so many years is that ultra-processed food or takeaways or anything like that we're eating has a negative impact on our well-being and our mental health. Now, I don't know about you, but I feel like there has to be a way that we can turn around our mindset and start to appreciate that actually cooking fresh food is better for us. And before anyone says, oh, I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, this is the problem that I'm trying to overcome. I'm trying to get people to understand that actually changing your mindset when it comes to cooking is the best the best act of self-love ever. Because if you start to realise how important it is to actually cook yourself food, and when I'm talking about cook yourself food, guys, I'm talking 3 to 4 main ingredients, I'm talking 20 to 30 minutes, sometimes, you know, if you want to, I love spending up to an hour because I think I deserve an hour to cook myself dinner. But if you have 20, 30 minutes, you can make a delicious food in that time. And quality, fresh ingredients. And yes, it can be perceived as it is a lot more expensive sometimes to cook fresh ingredients in this country. But there's also a way there are ways to understand how to buy cheaper fresh ingredients. And one of those ways is knowing how to buy seasonally. Because when you buy seasonal ingredients, actually the cost of those seasonal ingredients go down because the supply is high. So they try to encourage the demand. But also I think that we have a great selection of supermarkets in the UK that do really, really promote fresh vegetables and fresh food. And I think as long as you know what's in season and you've got a really well-stocked store cupboard, you've got hundreds of recipes at your fingertips. But again, it's the whole mindset thing. So my tip for everyone is, if you want to have a healthier lifestyle when it comes to food, Mediterranean diet is all about fruit and veg, more protein, whole grains. But to me, it's more about just having, like, from what I love about Italian cooking, it's just a balance. It's just like knowing a great balance of flavours, using only a handful of ingredients and keeping it really easy and simple, but maximise flavour. And I think that's the beauty of it. So I think if you want to inject some of that Italian self-love in your life, then maybe try and cook a little bit more Mediterranean food, or just like cook more Mediterranean food and try and cut out the processed foods, because the processed food is doing us no good at all. Number 3, how am I doing so far, guys? Any of this interesting? Oh, Zia Debs has said seasonal. Well done, my love. Zia is one of my amazing members, so she knows. Okay, how are we doing? Mindful eating, Mediterranean diet. Who wants to hear number 3? There's 3 more to go. So Number 3 is cook with love. Okay. Now, I've been talking about this for a long time now, and I know it can sound like, oh, what's cook with love? I'll tell you what the cook with love is. If you've ever been to Italy, Italians believe that cooking is a form of love. You see it again in the films, in TV shows, or when it tours. You can see like this, you know, Italy are known for the Italian nonnas who like dish out all these meals and they sit down with all their family. It's a representation of that, of what it actually is, because in Italy it comes in different forms. But Italians do truly believe that cooking is love, whether that's cooking for yourself or cooking for others. And when you cook, there isn't necessarily always this sense of chore, which I feel like is heavily, how do I say it? I feel like the fact that we say cooking is a chore in the UK is something that is just acknowledged and accepted. And I'm just here to say that feeding yourself is one of the most important things that we can do. So if we can change the way you feel about it, I'm here to help you do that. Because cooking, when you cook with love, when you cook it, when you get into the kitchen and you do it with good intention, what you end up is with a sense of accomplishment. You know, when you do something good, right, you feel good about yourself, right? You feel like, oh, that makes you feel really good. That sense of accomplishment can carry on throughout the day and make you feel fantastic. With that comes joy. Cooking can also help reduce stress if you approach it in the right way. It can be meditative. Essentially, it's an improvement on your well-being. And this is something that I've been teaching for the last few years, and I've been seeing people react to the way I teach about cooking, is that it no longer feels something scary or boring or overwhelming or stressful. It can be a way to love yourself. And that I love. That to me is definitely one of the earliest things that my Italian culture taught me, and that's what I really would love to help you guys out with. So some tips. I would say if you want to start cooking with love, because it's not going to be easy just to transition from it feeling from a chore to then being like, oh, this magnificent thing that you do. You're going to have to do it, tackle it as you would tackle anything that you struggle with. There is no magic wand. You need to carve out time for it. You need to carve out time for time in the kitchen where you are going to cook with love. Put on some music, and if any of my clients on here, members know, music and food are just a marriage made in heaven. Stick some tunes on, get comfy, cook yourself. Like if you're going to carve some time out, cook your favourite meal. Like eating food that brings on nostalgia is so comforting and loving that you guys deserve to do that. So if you want to start creating or if you want to start your own self-care cooking journey, start cooking with love, you're going to have to start setting time aside and approach it with a different mindset. So that's number 3. Who's ready for number 4? So we've had mindful eating, the Mediterranean diet, and cook with love are 3 ways that Italian food culture inspires self-care and self-love. Number 4, this is one of my favourites actually. This is one of my favourites, and I definitely feel like I definitely embraced it while I was in my 3 months in Puglia this year. Can anyone guess what it could be? Can you guess what I have, like one of the things I embraced more of and really, like I feel like I really reaped the rewards? Does anyone know? It's actually the actual phrase is actually named after a film. A well-known Italian film. No? Oh, I'm going to tell you. So, Italians are known to having me time. Yes, kind of. Karen, nearly there. So, similar. So, the Italians are known for living dolce vita. Ever heard of the term dolce vita? Dolce vita fa niente. So, the sweet, what was it? Dolce vita, the sweet life of doing nothing. But what it actually means is a representation that Italians do know how to balance work, leisure, and a bit of self-indulgence. Do you know what I mean? I feel in the UK we're very, very work oriented. I feel like in the UK a lot of people live to work, but the Italians are all about they work to live. Can you know the difference between that? I work to live. I create my business. I create my business because I enjoy it. It's fulfilling. But I'm doing it so that I can support myself and have a nice life because I want to live. Money isn't an object to me. Money is not the most important thing in my life. Money helps me to enjoy my life, but it's not the most important life because love is the most important thing in life. You are the most important thing in your life. You take care of yourself, everything else just flows a little bit more easier. But here in the UK, we grind. To what end? I don't know. And it leads to stress and it leads to burnout. In Italy, the Dolce Vita. And I think it's beautiful. And I definitely embrace the Dolce Vita lifestyle. I would get up in the morning. I would have my morning routine. I'd go for walks. I'd have my self-care breakfast. I would shower. Or get to 9:30, 10. I'll sit down on my computer. Blah, 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 blah. Work for 2-3 hours. I would then get up. I would go food shopping. I'd buy myself some food. I'll then cook lunch. I'll then have a nap. And then I'd wake up at 4 or 5 o'clock. And then I'd work from 6 till 9. 6 to 8. Yeah, it was late in the evening, but I had this balance throughout the day. Now that wasn't every day, and I know I'm very lucky that I was in Italy, so being able to take that time away to go food shopping and do all that obviously not everyone can do that. But the emphasis throughout the day was, I can't sit here and work 8-10 hours straight. I need a break. I need to do me. I need to take care of myself. I need to feed myself. I need to relax. I need to sleep. Because then I'll recharge myself up to then be able to do all the wonderful things I want to do with my job. So if you want to carve a little bit of Dolce Vita in your life, here are some tips. So I would say you want to prioritise moments of pleasure. How many of you guys do you actually prioritise time to do something nice for yourself? Or is it something that it falls upon you, or you plan for it way in advance? But how many of you prioritise a little bit of pleasure, like a little bit every day? It can even be like a treat. And you know what? Do you know what I mean? Like self-indulgence. Like even if you want like an ice cream, it's about enjoying that ice cream without feeling any guilt. Like, oh, this is bad for me. Like enjoy it. Just enjoy, appreciate it. This is all part of balance. If you're eating something you know you don't feel like you should be eating and you're not enjoying it, then don't do it. It's not a good way to self-indulge. Do you know what I mean? The way you do it is in a way that you, like I said, you're totally guilt-free, and then that kind of creates a vibe of just like happiness and joy, and which obviously then again helps your well-being and mental health. So I think there's something there for us to do there. And then the last thing, I'm on my last point. Can't believe I've already been on for 23 minutes. Thought it was going to be a quick one tonight. Anyway, the last one, if you're still here, thanks for those that are still here, is social connections. Italians understand the importance of connecting, especially sitting around a table, sharing a meal. It is known, it is definitely been researched, and it's definitely been said that connections with other humans are so important for your well-being. Loneliness is a killer. And I'm not saying anyone here is like lonely or whatever, but you may get feelings of loneliness. And the only way you can combat feelings of loneliness is connecting with other people. And so I just want to tell you, I've written some stuff down. So yeah, when you're sharing, like say a meal, you sit around a table, there is a sense of belonging and there's a sense of support that you don't always have when you're on your own. And I know I am someone who has lived on their own. I was on their own the whole time during COVID, and it was a friggin' struggle, which is why I think I created my business to connect with people across the world, because I knew I wouldn't be the only one. I wanted other people to connect with other people. But it was the one time in my life when I really realised that I always thought I was fine on my own. I could do things on my own. But the loneliness really did hit me, and I realised the importance of human connection. And so if you're someone who works day in, day out, maybe you live with people, maybe you live with your family, it can get a little bit mundane. I would say if you want to enhance some of that social connection, invite your friends and family down for a meal. Sit down. Share a story. Have a laugh. When was the last time you invited someone over? And if you're going to say, I haven't had time, make some bloody time for your favourite people. Because don't we always feel the best when we're with our favourite people? I know I do. I've had loads of friends come visit me from the UK to Italy this year. I've also spent some amazing time with my friends in Italy, and I'm telling you, those memories I will never, ever, ever forget. Those are the times that lift me up when I'm feeling a little bit craggy or things feeling a little bit tough. I can always rely on my favourite people to lift me up, and sitting around a table and doing that is one of my favourite ways. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my 5 ways that Italian food culture can inspire self-love and self-care. So let's go through them again. And I want you to tell me, if you're still here, which one is your favourite. So we've got mindful eating. So my tips are, try and sit at dinner table, try not to eat in front of the TV, on your phone, or do it while you're working. Create a nice space where you can enjoy your food with no distraction. Enjoy each mouthful, texture, aroma. You deserve it. Number 2, Italian Mediterranean diet. It's all about fresh ingredients, minimum fuss, maximum flavour, a healthier lifestyle. If you've been living on the ultra processed food or like takeaways or whatever, love yourself enough to stop doing that and start trying to carve some time to cook some freshly cooked meals, because it's so much better for your mental health and your well-being. Number 3, learn to cook with love, because it can reduce stress. It can reduce stress. I talk about this all the time. Cooking can reduce stress. It's really like cooking for yourself is just an amazing act of self-love. You can be slowed down. You can be present. You just bring joy into your life. Cooking with love and creating meals that you enjoy and eat gives you a sense of accomplishment, which is only a positive feeling, brings you joy and happiness. Number 4 is the Dolce Vita. Bring a little bit of that Dolce Vita into your life. Come on, guys, let's work to live. Let's work to have the best lives ever. Don't get up to live to just work, because that is not what we're here. That's not what we're meant to do on this planet. Don't forget it. Don't get caught up with what we're being told every day. We're here to live. We're not here to work. And number 5, social connections. Connecting with other people. It is researched that, and it's well known that connecting with other people is really important for our well-being and mental health. So if you ever feel like you're seeing the same faces every day in and out, and you feel like you need to recharge yourself, get your friends and family over for a gorgeous dinner. Cook it with love. Share a story. Laugh. Share your problems, because when you've got support around you and you feel like you belong to something, honestly, it does you the world of good. And that today is today's session. And did I say today is the last ever Cook with Amore? Series 1 is now over. There have been 8 episodes. Can you believe it? This was episode number 8, and I want to thank anyone who's come and joined me in the last, I think it's about 3 months I've been doing this. I've absolutely loved doing it. I am going to be back at the end of August. It's going to be a slight change format to it for August, September. I'd like to know what you think. More information on that later. I also want to remind you, I think I told you, point number 2 is about Mediterranean diet. I do have a free guide, 12 essential self-care ingredients to help you cook feel-good food when you're lacking time and energy. These are the backbone to my kitchen, the backbone to my pantry. When I have a few fresh ingredients, it helps me create delicious meals. So go and download that if you haven't already. Link is in my bio. And if you don't know, I feel like I've been going on about it enough, but just to remind you, the Self-Love Cooking Club, which is the only self-care cooking membership out there that is here to help you inject more balance and more self-love into your life with self-care cooking and feel-good food. It's launching in September. I'm currently trialing out the beta. It's working really well. I'm super excited. It's a space, it's a community for foodie and self-care enthusiasts who are busy people, juggling lots of plates, feeling maybe a little bit stressed and burnt out, or they just want to take better care of themselves. And the Self-Love Cooking Club is a space for you. You meet other people who are also like-minded, foodie self-care enthusiasts, and you're on this journey together to just love yourself. It's an absolutely beautiful space. And I think that's me done. Thanks to everyone who has joined. This will be going up on my grid today, so if you missed any of it and you want to watch it, please do. And yes, the waiting list for the Self-Love Cooking Club is also up in my bio. I'm really excited about this community. There's nothing else like it. I feel kind of proud of myself to be the thought leader on this, but I feel like we need more people to help create more space for people to take care of themselves, because the world we live in, especially here in the UK, there's too much chat on we've got to work, there isn't enough to go round, this. But you don't ever forget that you matter too. No matter what else is going on, it can never ever really get that bad if you take care of yourself. That's the most important thing we've got to remember. So yeah, the waiting list for Self Love Cooking Club is in the link in my bio. More information will be coming out in the next 3 weeks. If you're on my mailing list, you'll find out all about it. And I think that's it. I think I'm just going to go. Thanks, guys. Love you. And have a fantastic Wednesday evening. I'm about to go and put up my little trotters. I have been, letting myself get in, gently settling back into the UK after 3 months amazing in Italy. But like I said, I'm here to motivate you to love yourself, because that's what we're here to do. Don't ever forget that, my loves. Right. Ciao. See you soon. Bye.